The next presentation, and I will just explain something, is from William Bahnfleth, Professor Bahnfleth. So now he's currently on the road, so he'll not be able to speak, but he asked me just a couple minutes ago just to present the key items he wanted to share with all of us today, and I have his presentation. So I can just give you the main items. I can just give some credential on him. So he's a fellow and presidential member at for the ASHRAE, so the American Society for Mechanical Engineers, and also is member of the International Society for Indoor Air Quality and Climate. So Dr. Bahnfleth is the author and co-author of so many articles and books, and he is the chair of the ASHRAE Epidemic Task Force, which we all heard a lot about in this pandemic. Present tense for pandemic, as I've learned how to say it now, so it's better. Okay, so this presentation, and I will not go through everything, but the key messages, so you should see it right now, was definitely on the ventilation part to control aerosol and transmissible pathogen, especially for the healthcare setting, but I think we can definitely extrapolate that to so many things, so many other settings. Transmission of SARS-CoV-2 through the air is sufficiently likely, so we don't need to talk about how far it is. It's sufficient, that's for sure, that airborne exposure to the virus should be controlled. So we need to control it. It's not if we would, it's absolutely something we need to and that's one of the messages you wanted to carry. And that includes changing and updating the building operations, such as the heating, ventilating, and air conditioning systems. It was to recall a few things, and in a few minutes, we'll have the session on science and engineering, so I will not go far on the air care controls and the different layers of mitigation. He's coming with that, but I'm sure others will do that in the next session. So he was to be giving some examples in different places. By the way, his presentation will be available after the session and later on in the day, so you will have the chance to look at every single items he was referring to. So the very first standard which touches ventilation is the well-known ASHRAE standard 62.1. It has been updated in 2022, and it's explaining that ventilation is not only in outdoor air coming in, it's also recirculating air that has been treated for the purpose of maintaining acceptable indoor air quality. So that's an important thing here. It needs to be treated. It's not any recirculated air. Some other technical justification, I'll not get into those right now. The ASHRAE standard 241, which was released this very year, is specifically on control of infectious aerosol. So it's really a new standard, absolutely a key thing that will have a lot of ramification down the road. So that's an important point he wanted to highlight. So the ASHRAE came with new standards related to that. And it goes with a few items. I'll not get into that in detail, but it's talking about how we can dilute, so dilution, but also touching air cleaning, like germicidal IV, UV, and reactive species, control of reactive species. There are other standards, indeed, the ASHRAE 170 for healthcare settings, the ASHRAE 241 I just mentioned, but also from the CDC, an older guideline, but has been updated just a few years ago for environmental infection control in healthcare facilities. This presentation that you'll have access to will give you more insights on those. I will not talk about the key characteristics, even some numbers on the number of air change per hour of outside air and so forth, depending on the type of the usage of the room. And what I wanted to highlight, and I promised I'll say that to you, it's engineering controls are important, and it's an important part of infection risk mitigation scheme, but it's only one part. We need to have many prevention measures. This is one that should not be neglected, but it's one amongst others that needs to be done. There are different ways to achieve that, but the idea here is to clean the air that will be delivered. So that's the clean air delivery approach he's referring to here. And there are so many strong reasons to apply that to healthcare settings, but also in so many other workplaces, at home, and many areas, residential buildings, long-term care, etc. So that's just what I wanted to add before we switch to some Q&A with our speakers, which are here on the panel.